Hi, this is Dorothy with Dot Scrapbooking, and today I'm going to do Bloom with Grace. I'm really running way behind. Between my husband and I, we've had some health problems going on, so I've been running behind. So here's the Bloom with Grace contents. You get a glitter gems, cards and envelopes. You get an exclusive stamp. This is exclusive. You can't buy this one. It only comes with the cards, and you get the thin cuts to go with it. So you get 3 sheets of the namesake paper, the Bloom with Grace paper, and 3 sheets of French vanilla and 2 sheets of toffee. So I am going to go over the whole cutting guide, including the thin cuts. So the first sheets that I'm going to do, I'm going to use my Fiskars aluminum rail cutter. The first thing I'm going to do are the Bloom with Grace papers. So I'm going to take the zip strips off of all of them, and we will cut those towards the end. So I'm going to orient the paper so that the green pattern is kind of up and down. That's kind of how they say to do it on the instructions. And with the pictures, they say it with the pictures. So the first strip I'm going to make is 4 1/4 inches wide, and the second strip is 4 1/4 inches wide. And the third is 3 1/2. And so the 4 1/4 are going to get cut to 5 1/2. So that's going to be the whole front of the card. And then the bottom strip, so we cut 2 pieces, and the bottom strip is 1 inch left, and it gets cut down to 4 inches. So I am stacking, you can't really tell, but I've got 4 stacks at the top there for card 1, card 2, card 3, and card 4. So as I cut them, I'm putting the appropriate cut in its own pile. So the first 4 cuts with the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 are for card 1, and the 1 inch strip is going to be for card 3. And then the last pieces of paper that are the 3 1/2 are getting cut to 4 3/4, and those are for card 1. And the final small piece that's 3 by 2 1/2 is for card 2. So the next piece is getting 1 inch strips cut, and I'm using the right hand 1 inch because it's just so much easier to cut that way and get a good straight cut. And then the next strip is going to be 4 1/2, and the last piece is 5 1/2. And so the 5 1/2 gets cut down to 4 pieces that are 2 inches wide each, and those go into pile 2. So as I cut them, that's what I'm putting them in pile 2. And then the last piece is going to be a 4 1/2 by 3 1/2, and that's for pile 4. So the strip that's 4 1/2 by, they get cut down to 3 1/2. Those are all going to go in pile 4, and then there's a 1 inch 4 by 1 that goes in pile 3. The 1 inch strips all get cut to 4 inches, and they all go in card 3 pile. So this strip is for card 4, and those are 4 1/2 by 3 1/2, so I'm cutting them to 3 1/2. And that little guy at the end is getting cut down to 1 inch and 4 inches. Card 3. So the next one, it's when you're cutting for 16 cards, you're going to make a lot of cuts. So you kind of have to go with it. But you'll have these cards for a long time for lots of uses. So you're saving, in the long run, you're saving yourself a lot of time. So I just cut a 3 1/2 inch strip, and then the next strip is 4 inches, and the last strip is 3 inches. And so the first one is going to get cut to 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 2 pieces that are 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. Those are for card 1. And then there's a little 3 by 2 1/2 at the bottom that gets cut for card 2. And then there's a whole bunch of 1 1/4 to 1 inch strips. So the 1 1/4, all of these strips go into card 3. So clearly that's going to be a multi-striped card. So even though there's a lot of pieces, they're pretty easy cuts to make. So if you're making a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece, you know that's going to be the background of the whole card because that's the size of the card. So there we go with our pieces that are 1 1/4 and 1 inch. And the last strip is 3 inches, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 2 1/2 inches. Those are going to be for card 2, and then some little, these are going to be little banners going on card 4. So they are going to get cut to 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch. So those will just be little bitty banners to go up in the corner. The next thing I'm going to do is a toffee, the first toffee. And the piece is going to be, the strip is 2 3/4 inches wide. And I'm going to cut 3 pieces that are 4 inches. So that's pretty simple. That's going to go in card 3. And then 2 1 inch, no, 3/4 of an inch strips. And then we're going to do a 3 3/4 inch strip and a 2 3 3/4 inch strips, and then there's going to be a 1/4 of an inch left over. So these are going to get cut down to 5 inches. So that's going to be, and that goes in card 1, and all 4 of these pieces go in card 1. And then these strips, the 3/4 of an inch strip, get cut to 5 1/2. And those are going to go into card 2. The next piece is going to, now these are pretty simple, they're 5 1/2 inches is the first. So you can tell that the width is the longer piece, so that's going to be the longer cut, so 5 1/2. Which is what I was trying to show you on the diagram. And they're getting cut down to 4 1/4. And those will be for the background for the card 4. And then there's a piece at the bottom that gets cut to 4 by 2 3/4. And that's going to be for card 3. And then this little strip, it's a 3/4 of an inch, and it's going to get cut into 4 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch. So those are going to go into the card 4 pile. Those are also going to be little banners to go in the corner of card 4. Okay, here we are on to French vanilla. And the first strip is 4 inches. Next strip is 3 3/4 inches. And then a 1 1/2 inch strip, which I'm measuring over on the right-hand side. And the last strip is 2 3/4. And I'm going to cut that one down to 4 pieces that are 2 1/4 for card 2. And then there's a little leftover piece. And this strip is going to get cut into 3 1/2 inch pieces. Those are going to be for card 1. And then the 4 inch piece is going to get cut down to 3 inches. 4 pieces that are 3 inches. That's for card 4. And the 3 1/4 inch piece is going to get cut down to 2 1/2. 4 pieces that are 2 1/2. And then there's one more strip that is 3.5 by 1.5. And that's for card 1. So the next piece of French vanilla is going to have a strip that's 5.5 inches wide. And somehow I missed. I cut 4 pieces that are 1 inch, and now I'm using the remainder piece to do die cuts of the thin cuts. So I just wanted to show you. So there's the skull, the cattle skull, and I'm going to cut a piece, die cut the skull, and then stamp it. And I don't get it quite perfect. And so really the best way to do this is to take all the pieces and go ahead and stamp everything that you need. So I am stamping, instead of just cutting the thin cuts, I'm going ahead and stamping all of the pieces. So I am going ahead and I am stamping all of the what I saw as what they're telling me to stamp. So there's, a certain amount. You can just go ahead and count up, which pieces you have to stamp for each of the cards. But there's like 12 of one and 8 of another, and it's a little time consuming, but that's okay. I mean, you're getting a lot done, and once you get these all finished, then it'll be a breeze putting the cards together. So I am using intense black ink to stamp all of the elements, because they're all going to get colored a little bit with our tri-blend markers, or whatever markers you want to use. So the little arrow with the flower gets 4. So I just did him 4 times. And then there's a tiny little flower, that one, a little branch of flowers. And those actually get done all together 8 times, 4 for one card and 4 for another card. The next is the larger bouquet, and it is going to get stamped all together 12 times. So you can see I should have a tissue or something handy to wipe off the excess. I'm getting a lot of ink on my block. You can see the lines, but that's all getting cut out, so it doesn't really matter. I will tell you, it's a little slow going, cutting one thing out at a time. And I do try to speed things up a little bit. So I'm just trying to make sure I've got all the pieces that I need. So I'm going to show you just how I place and I think I'll rush through this real quick, but I'm using washi tape, and so it's very simple to place. And that's a fresh piece of washi tape. So it's better to use one that's tacky and not super fresh. So you can see that you get a better placement of the stamp in with the cut if you go ahead and stamp it first and then cut it, place the die cut over the stamp. That works much better than doing the cut and then trying to make this fit the stamp inside the cut. I mean, you get close, but a lot of times you're off a little bit. So I thought it was better to do it the other way for a long time, but, you know, in the long run, I found that it's really, you get a much better product if you do it this way. So go ahead and keep little strips of washi tape on top of your thin cut so that you can place your you know, if you keep them handy, then it makes it go faster. And like I said, if they're just a little tacky, you don't need super sticky, you just need a little tacky. So, and they cut beautifully, and it doesn't make any difference that, you know, you're going over the thin cut. So I'm real happy with the way, and these are really detailed pieces, so this is not something that you would probably want a fussy cut, because goodness, you would make yourself nuts. So this is so much easier. I didn't think that I'd like these thin cuts, but every time I say that, I end up loving whatever product I think I'm not going to love. So could have something to do with dealing with change. What do you think? So, and you know, the more I do this skull, I'm thinking, okay, we're putting skulls on people's cards, but look how pretty they are. That's so Texas. It's just so Texas. So I love it with the flowers. So I think these are going to be really neat looking cards. So, and I love this little arrow with the flower. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this up even faster. Okay, I'm speeding things up here. So I decided that if I did 2 of these small things at a time, that it would go a little bit faster, because I just have so many to cut out. So I'm trying to do 2 at a time here for the smaller ones. So if you can do that, it helps cut down your time for cutting, because it's tedious. I mean, we're cutting a lot of pieces here. You know, all together, let me see, 12 and 16 and 20 and 24. Yeah, it's like 32 pieces of cutting. That means it's running through, if you do it one at a time, it's running through the die cut machine 32 times. That's a lot. So I'm using our newer, close to my heart die cut machine, which does a spectacular job of cutting. And if you have something that doesn't cut all the way through, then you can crank it up 1 notch and it will take care of anything. So this is really good for very detailed cuts, where you spend a whole lot of time trying to punch out the little bitty pieces, like for something that looks like lace. This thing will take care of it. You know, I just think this is like a super, this was a major improvement over using the old Cuttlebug. So anyway, I did another skull, and I cut out a little bouquet at the same time. So anyway, I've got this speeded up to like 275%. It took me quite a long time to do all this cutting. Probably an hour of cutting, and plus the die cuts. I mean the thin cuts. So this is me trying to do 2 at a time here. My cutting mat is kind of wonky, I have to tell you, and it's probably because I didn't flip it enough and, cut it on both sides to kind of even it out. And so it's pretty wavy. I mean, I don't know. I've kind of tried to do things to get the wave out of it, but it doesn't really, it doesn't interfere with the cutting. So I'm not so, I'm not too worried about it because it still cuts just as fine as it always cut. So let me just tell you, if you haven't subscribed to my channel before, to please subscribe and ring the bell if that makes any difference anymore. I know YouTube has made some changes. Every time things get good, they make changes. And I will have all of the information for this card kit down below. And like I said, this is these are good cards that can be used for multi-purpose. So the reason why they have the skull is they have a phrase that goes with it, that says way to grab life by the horns. So that can go for, any little positive thing that happens in somebody's life. You can, you can encourage them with that sentiment. And they also have let your dreams blossom. That's another one of the cards, and which is a really nice phrase. And that's a little encouragement for young people maybe, or anybody who's looking to make a change. So they're both nice phrases to use and, kind of hit on multiple situations in life. And certainly we're having multiple kinds of situations in our life right now, aren't we? Some people are having to change jobs and so any word of encouragement is helpful to people out there. So I hope you like this. I will put these cards together and you can see how they end up. So subscribe to my channel and read the comments, read the information below if you're interested in these cards. And I will start making these cards probably tomorrow, maybe even tonight. So everybody take care and stay healthy. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and hang in there. We're all going to get through this together. So bye now.